Watch and burn.
Hey everybody! So tonight I am looking to compile a list of all of my favorite punk rock movies that I've seen since like way back when I was a kid. And these are sort of like the ultimate punk rock movies for me. I've assembled a decent sized list. I know there's probably a bunch I completely forgot about. And I'm putting Repo Man on here, even though I can't stand Repo Man. I mean, it is kind of seen as a punk rock movie because there's like Circle Jerks and the Circle Jerk. Oh, yeah, that's right. Circle Jerks have Coup d'etat on the soundtrack. I fucking love that song. And Emilio Estevez is like a punker, so it's like a punk movie. That movie's just fucking stupid. But anyways, I put that on here too. I know a lot of people love that movie, and so my comment I just made about how that movie being fucking stupid, it isn't probably going to go over very well. But I hate Repo Man. So yeah, so here is the list. Okay, so naturally, these aren't really in order. There's a couple on here that are kind of shoehorned in. I think I'll start with those. And the first one of these sort of like the outlying punk rock movies is Out of the Blue, starring Linda Manz and Dennis Hopper. The movie's also directed by Dennis Hopper. The character identifies herself as a punk rocker, but there's no punk rock in the movie, and she doesn't really dress like a punker, but then again, you could argue, what the hell is punk? You don't have to look any particular way. But nevertheless, she does identify as a punk rocker, so there's Out of the Blue. Then there's also Out of Bounds with, what's his name from the Dead Zone and the Breakfast Club? Can't remember his name. The reason that I included it is because him and the chick in the movie, she's like a punk rocker type. They end up in a club, and Susie and the Banshees are playing. So that's why I included Out of Bounds with what's his name from the Breakfast Club. So those two are the movies that I don't really consider punk, but Out of the Blue is such an emotional impact that movie is so worth it regardless. Out of Bounds is just kind of dumb and fun. But then we have What We Do Is Secret. Of course, this is the story of the Germs, the slightly sanitized story of the Germs. Linda Carlisle didn't have stage fright, and that's why she had to leave the Germs. She wasn't able to play with them because she had mono. In the movie, she's suffering from stage fright. In reality, she had mono. Times Square, another wicked punk rock movie. Alan Moyle, for anybody that knows Empire Records or Pump Up the Volume. This, I believe, is his first feature film, and he had such a negative experience making it that I think he stopped making movies for over a decade. But Times Square is definitely on this list. Smithereens, again, another sort of punk rock movie. Richard Hell is in it, and I think that's why this movie is seen as a punk rock movie, but I do love the end. You know, the guy's like, you got a better place to spend your time? It's got a decent impact there. What else is on here? Sid and Nancy, but Sid and Nancy, Jesus Christ. I mean, does that movie even need to be, like, I don't think I need to talk about that movie. That is Alex Cox again, who is the director behind Repo Man. And this is Gary Oldman in the Chloe Webb vehicle. It tells a story about the ill-fated, of course, Sid Vicious and Nancy Spungen. Everybody knows that, though. What else is on here? Repo Man. God, I hate this movie, but it's punk, so it's there. I'll also toss in the first story, The Bishop of Battle, from the anthology film Nightmares, where Emilio Estevez, once again, plays a punker. He's really into Black Flag and shit, and the movie was made during like the sort of mainstream peak of early 1980s American punk. So the first story from Nightmares, The Bishop of Battle, can be included on this list. Let's see. Green Room. Okay, Green Room is a punk rock movie, but my issue with Green Room is that I grew up around a lot of skinheads in Pickering. And skinheads are like patch addicts. And the skinheads in the movie didn't have any white supremacist patches on. Every skinhead I ever saw had at least 3 swastika patches, had some other random white power logos, and the Aryan Nations, and the Afrikaners, the AW, whatever the fuck they were called back then. And he had these kids in Pickering representing South African white supremacist troops for some reason. So the skinheads in the movie, they just didn't really strike me as skinheads. They were more like actors who were playing the part of skinheads. The skinheads should have been more patched up, and their laces were all wrong too. What else is on here? SLC Punk, of course, this movie's amazing. Came out back in 98. Oh my God, the end with Heroin Bob. Jesus Christ. That is worth the price of admission. Return of the Living Dead, I don't think, I mean, that's like kind of like the ultimate punk rock movie, or the ultimate punk rock comedy horror movie, I think. Everybody knows that. And then, of course, we have The Decline of Western Civilization 1, as well as The Decline of Western Civilization 3. Both of these are done by Penelope Spheris, who also did my next movie on this list, and that would be Suburbia, starring a pre-fame Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And she was doing that right around the same time that she was doing the first Decline documentary. So yeah, the one in the Decline of Western Civilization 1 and 3, as well as Suburbia. And then Class of Nukem High, again, it's like a super trauma punk rock movie from the 80s. They're all kind of like punkified, even though punk rock doesn't really play a prevalent part in the movie. They're all just kind of punk looking. So it's on the list. Rock and Roll High School, of course, because the Ramones are in the movie, and Riff Randall is a rock and roller, and she becomes an honorary fifth member because she writes the song Rock and Roll High School for the Ramones. Oh my god, this movie's adorable. And PJ Soles was incredibly good looking when she was younger. Oh, yeah, that's right. You know what? The one that people always seem to forget is The Great Rock and Roll Swindle. Now, this isn't really, it's not even a documentary. It's definitely not a feature film. It's a collage of various sort of documentary-ish footage that are taken of the members of the Sex Pistols while they just behave badly and hang out with train robbers. And Vicious walks through Paris wearing his bright red and white swastika shirt, making friends. And it's a fun movie. Friggin' in the Riggins, a cool song. I believe that's played during the end credits. I like the whole tone of this. I like how British it is. And I like how gritty The Great Rock and Roll Swindle is. So that was it. That was my list. These were the ultimate punk rock movies that are probably not the ultimate punk rock movies. Some of them are. I would say personally that it would either be Penelope Spheeris' Suburbia or The Decline 1 or The Decline 3. They're sort of a three-way tie. I would say overall I would go with the first Decline just because of the bands that are featured. But then as far as the emotional impact is concerned, I would definitely side with The Decline 3 just because of everything that takes place throughout the course of that documentary. But then in the same breath, the movie Suburbia, the fictional film that was hers, is just as impactful and just as hard-hitting as The Decline 1 and The Decline 3, considering the fact that she used predominantly non-acting street kids in the movie, which is a very Penelope Spheeris thing to do. So yeah, that's it. So thank you so much for hanging out with me for just about 8 minutes while I discussed, not looking in the lens, while I discussed all of my ultimate punk rock movies. If you agree, don't forget to say you agree. And if you say I'm an asshole or something and I've got it all wrong, don't forget to put that in the comments too. You guys are amazing. I'm getting out of here because suddenly I'm very hot. So, have a good night. I think I'm looking in the right. It doesn't matter. Who gives a fuck? Have a good night.